And welcome back to another video on the Wrestling Bay into another edition of NXT Out of 10. Of course, Samoa Joe made his return to NXT in kind of a mini general manager role last week, so it's really interesting to see where that will go this week. And of course, we've got Kyle O'Reilly versus Kushida, so a really exciting edition of NXT lined up. Starting off with Adam Cole in the ring, he ran down the events of last week, talking about Samoa Joe's assault on him. And as far as picking on his opponent tonight, that wasn't happening. Cole was new king of NXT, and Joe wasn't going to change that. He was looking forward to his fight with O'Reilly at the American Bash, but he wasn't wrestling tonight. At that point, Carmelo Hayes came down to the ring and said that he was looking to take on Cole tonight, slapping the taste out of his mouth. That led to the match, and he laid up Cole with some high-flying manoeuvres, springboard clothesline followed by a press on the floor, saw Cole stunned. However, hangman neckbreaker drop Hayes, and Cole kept up the pressure by choking him out on the tops. Hayes sat up for a dive off the top before he was sent to the floor. Throughout the break, Cole tore Hayes apart piece by piece, and then Shigiri dropped Hayes, and Cole slowed things down with a Panama City Playboy continued to disrespect Hayes. After getting slapped a few times, Hayes woke up and rocked Cole with a pump kick. Adam hit one back of his own and continued to be back and forth for an Inscary and a codebreaker dropped Cole. Hayes rolled away from a Panama Sunrise attempt once Cole got back up. But when Cole went for it anyway, he was caught with a super kick. Hayes hesitated slightly, allowing Cole to manoeuvre, hit a super kick mid-air, and the Panama Sunrise this time was successful. I'm going at 7 out of 10. What a joyous match this was to kick off NXT. Backstage, Taya Valkyrie was still trying to steal away Aaliyah and Jessie Camille from the Robert Stone brand. When Stone himself entered the scene, Moné's dog barked in. The Robert Stone brand was set to take on Io Shirai and Zoe Stark tonight, and we cut to those two. Stark and Io shared mutual respect for each other. On last week's NXT, LA Knight dropped Ted DiBiase with a big right hand. The new $1 million champion called Cameron Grimes an idiot for carrying about the old man more than the title and the money. Before Johnny Gargano came to the ring with Theory to talk about the importance of crowning a new NXT champion, and Gargano said that he would out-wrestle Cross on his worst day, and it wasn't Cross who answered the challenge though. Pete Dunne and Randy Orton came into the ring and saying they thought Gunn should be number one contender, and they were trying to start a riot, but Gargano refused and didn't want to start an argument. Before leaving, Theory said he was watching Dunne. The Bruiserweight responded by snapping his fingers before we got footage of Ari Sterling making fun of Ted DiBiase and getting attacked. Grimes laughed along before popping him with a Superman punch. William Regal was then confronted with Adam Cole backstage, telling him that any beef between Cole and Joe was done. Cole laughed in his face and stated he'd leave not to cause any further trouble. Before in last week's NXT, we saw vignettes of battery charging. It went from 0 to 21 to 31. What did this mean? Gargano and Theory went to General Manager Regal office, hoping to get Samoa Joe to attack Dunne and Rourke, and Regal had a better idea as tag team match tonight, which they weren't very happy about. But all of these promos, they were okay, kind of just ticking the show along, and they did their purpose, I suppose. It was time for the Robert Stone brand versus Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. Shirai dropped Aaliyah with a flapjack basement dropkick in the corner, a slingshot double knee pass crushed Aaliyah into the turnbuckle before Stark tagged in, landing on her feet and rocking Aaliyah with a basement clothesline. Camille ran in but was rolled up with several attempts for a pin. Camille hung up at Stark on the ropes, finally getting some offense in before the way continued down to the ring. While Cole raged on, Stark finally managed to get Io Shirai in, and Genius of the Sky took the fight to hit Camille with a perfect picture springboard dropkick. The moon over moonsault landed the win, and I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. This was a really, really solid match with the right result. And then the Way stood on the apron after the match to congratulate them, but women's champions Gonzalez and Kai came in, refusing to jump in line. Blackheart and Ember Moon came down, and then Samoa Joe brought NXT security down to separate everyone. Basically just usual women's tag team stuff you'd expect. But I am really intrigued to see which way it goes. It was time for the Way versus Pete Dunne and Randy Orton. Gargano kicked things off with Orton before Pete Dunne tagged in. Gargano handled Dunne well early on, but he tagged out to his partner. Theory tagged him in with an injured hand. Dunne took advantage before Orton came in and battered Mr. All Day as the former tag team champion continued to target the bullseye Dunne created earlier. The Bruiserweight tagged in again, snapping Theory's fingers. Dunne continued to tear him apart And when we came back from the break, Theory had finally tagged out to Gargano, who lit up Lorcan and Dunn with a series of kicks. A Bulldog clothesline combination laid them both out, and Gargano connected with the slingshot spear of Lorcan. Dunn was hammered with a suicide drive, and Johnny Wrestling tagged Theory in, who had a springboard sitting Spanish fly, which was a brilliant move, before Dunn took over once again and Theory was left alone. But Gargano eventually managed to get to the tag, and they traded shots with Dunn. Dunn countered the slingshot spear with a forearm to the face. A double powerbomb would have gotten the win had Theory not broken up the pinfall. Dunn escapes a powerbomb attempt from the young superstar, and Lorcan dropped him before Gargano spiked Dunn with one final beat to get the win. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. This was a really, really great match with the right result. And after the match, Karrion Kross blindsided celebrated Gargano. He didn't stick around for long as he laid in the wrath of Samoa Joe. I would have given it a 7 out of 10, but I just don't want to see Karrion Kross versus Johnny Gargano, to be honest. It just feels like it's getting repetitive. Samoa Joe confronted Kross backstage, but they stared him down. Pete Dunne was doing the same before we got a job of basically Elektra Lopez versus Frankie Monet. Lopez slammed Monet and hit a series of elbow drops early on. Some dancing allowed Monet to recover, hitting Lopez with a kicking combination and an STO. Monet battered their opponent to the mount, and the discus forearm caught Lopez as Monet hit the road to Valaha and planted her for the win. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. To be honest, I'm kind of getting fed up with all of these backstage stuff for Monet. I just kind of think it's time that she focused on doing something proper now. But anyway, Bronson Reed was backstage, and in the interview promised that he'd face anyone that is ready to step up. Swerve's got on Hit Row approached, and they both wanted the match before they decided to have a tag team match together, which we got straight into. Everrise were on top at the early stages before Dollar lost Parker, who slipped through power slam attempts, and Everrise sent the big man to the floor, screaming Everrise rules, before Dollar Parker out of the air and big forearm before taking Martel to his corner. Ashante stuck Martel with a long kiss goodnight, and Hit Row finished things off with a Hitmaker powerbomb combination to get the quick win. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. Good to see they got good plans for Hit Row. Felt a bit sorry for Everrise, but you know, it is what it is. There was images of Mercedes Martinez, who was attacked, of course, by Xia Li and Barrow backstage. Martinez fell to Lee and said that wouldn't happen again. And it was announced we'll see a MSK take on Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa face-to-face next week, and the batch ran up to 51%. Isn't that interesting? Before we got Kushida versus Kyle O'Reilly, and this was tasty. O'Reilly was out of control in the early stages before he responded with an armbar attempt, catching one of his own. During the break, however, Kushida went with O'Reilly with several own breakers before O'Reilly fought back, bringing Kushida down with a series of knee to the guts. The hip toss into an arm breaker failed to keep O'Reilly down. Kyle broke away from the hoverboard lock several times, refusing to let Kushida truly lock it in before O'Reilly cinched in a heel hook, only for Kushida's counter and getting control. Another hammerlock suplex in the spine left O'Reilly in a bad way. Kushida had the momentum, but both men started to struggle. Kushida finally got the both in the ring, blasted O'Reilly with a fast barrel punch. Kushida got the hoverboard lock on Carl, only to be rolled up by O'Reilly for the 3 count. Kushida was dumbfounded that O'Reilly found a way to get out of the hoverboard lock, but both men showed respect before Carl and O'Reilly went fighting off as Samoa Joe led them away. And then suddenly Roderick Strong, as leader of Diamond Mine, with Russ, Bivens and Suzuki, came out and attacked Kushida and going after the Cruiserweight Championship. This was flipping awesome. I can't wait to see them going over it. 7 out of 10. Everything about this was just perfect. Overall this week, NXT gets a 6 out of 10 from me. For me, it was a bit of a mixed episode of NXT. There were some really good things in, particularly featuring 4 members of the Undisputed Era, but there are also some sort of stuff that I just don't want to happen, like Kross and Gargano, Frankie Monet, can she do more to please as well? Just stuff like that, really. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, let me know your thoughts, comments down below, and follow on to the for daily wrestling news, subscribe to my channel, subscribe now, I'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.